Hey guys, I'm Mayari, and today I've teamed up with Music Production for Women to do a bit of a gear breakdown in my studio. I hope you enjoy it. In terms of my studio space, this is sort of the vibe. It's really important for me to have the space feel really comfy and really conducive to my creativity. So for me, that looks like dim lighting, lots of candles, lanterns, and watery light vibes. Nothing irks me and blocks me more than a fluorescent white light, which you often get in commercial studios. I also like soft furnishings. I like this cute, fluffy white rug. My old housemates joked about my old studio space being almost like a womb, and actually ended up calling the studio the womb for about 3 years. It just stuck. So wild because the idea of a womb ended up being a huge theme in my upcoming album, and that totally was not intentional or planned at all, just a really wild synchronicity. But yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. So here are my guitars. The Fender Jag I actually stole from my partner Andy, and my Moog grandmother. What I love about this is it's a semi-modular analog synth. It has no memory, no inbuilt memory, and no presets. So you are really building all of these sounds from scratch. I love it for like really drony basses and dreamy arps. It's also got a really nice spring reverb. So really great for texture and ambient stuff, and really great for sound design as well. And here is my desk space. We have my DAW of choice, which is Ableton. I have a few plugins, mainly like Sound Toys, FabFilter, and some Analog Obsession stuff. So I'm also about to finish a Bachelor of Music Production at my uni. Shout out ColArts. So that means I have had access to a lot of plugins on campus. So I used a lot of the RX suite and Melodyne. Also, I did track a lot of my vocals through a U87, Neumann U87 through an Apollo 8 at uni, which gave me access to a lot of U80 plugins. But yeah, in terms of the interface that I have at home, I have a Roland Rubix 4.4. It's great, it's got 4 outs, which is great for live. I have an SSD, which I work all my Ableton projects off. I back up onto hard drives. And in terms of my speakers, I have the KRKs. I know they don't have a fully flat frequency response, but they are good for my budget, and I mix on my Audio Technica headphones anyway. And whenever I am mixing, I do make sure I do listen to my mixes back in other studios with better sound systems. I also have the Boutique JU06A. It's got a great 16-step sequencer, and it's modeled off a Juno 60 and 106. I like to use it for a lot of sort of really resonant, almost acidy kind of swirling licks. I will also say I have used a TB03 for a lot of acid sounds in my songs as well. I had access to that at a couple of music schools that I've studied at, and that's a great thing. You don't actually need to buy synths if you can bring in your interface and record synths elsewhere for free. And yeah, so you'll hear a little bit of the TB03 in some of my songs, but for my home studio, I like to use a JU06A, and of course I love to use it for other sounds as well. I also have the Push 2. I want to implement it more in my writing process. I know the capabilities of it as a sequencer is pretty great, but I mainly use it for live for now, and I also have the Akai Mini MPK. I use it as a MIDI keyboard, but I also have mapped parameters to these knobs, so like delays and reverbs and auto pan, which I can use when I'm automating. I also have a Roland Cube amp. I actually stole this off my partner Andy again. It's got some effects on there and presets. Not sure if you can see any of that. And I have a work in progress pedal board. I realized after getting all these pedals that they don't respond well with the circuitry of the amp, just because the amp is a tube emulation. But the plan is to eventually get a new amp. So in regards to how I record and track guitar, often what I'll do is I'll actually record the same take but with different microphones, and then I'll also redo the take with a different amp. So for example, in a song that I did for a post-rock project that I did about 2 years ago, what I did is I recorded my Roland Cube with an SM57. I also mic'd up a Shure Beta 58, which I know is used normally for vocals, but I wanted to try that out. I also had a DI going through a Waves guitar amp sim, and I've also recorded like Marshall amps. So yeah, I like to layer all of these recordings of the same take and blend it together to get the ideal sound that I want, because often different microphones and different microphone positions, as well as different amps, can actually really color the sound, and this is completely separate to the effects that you may have used in terms of pedals and post effects. So yeah, that's how I like to do guitar. I also have this singing bowl tuned in D, hand drum, and how cute is this little trophy that my friend Georgia made for me on my birthday. Shout out Georgia, she also makes great music. Look it up, Georgia Flood. I've also got some Tibetan bells. And yeah, that's it in terms of my gear. I like to be as economical as possible, yeah, in terms of like my plugins, I love to use a lot of Ableton stock plugins, as well as like free Max for Live plugins, which are great. You don't need loads of gear and loads of money to make good music. When I first started, I actually didn't have anything. All I did was use Ableton and the stock plugins in Ableton and a cheap Strat, and that some of the best ideas that I had was when I was just starting out and I didn't have access to all this gear. So yeah, but anyway, thanks so much. I hope this was helpful, and yeah, follow me on Instagram for more videos like this. I'm just at Mayari_music. I also have a Spotify, Mayari, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.